If you enjoy being alone, people assume something must be wrong. They call it loneliness. They call it antisocial. Sometimes they even call it sad. But what if that's not the truth? What if your solitude isn't a symptom of disconnection, but a sign of depth? On the surface, it looks the same. You cancel plans, you sit quietly, you prefer your own company. Underneath, though, something very different is happening. You're not withdrawing because you've been rejected. You're stepping back because the world is loud and you feel everything. This is for the overthinkers, the emotionally aware, the ones who replay conversations, notice subtle tone shifts, and absorb the energy in a room without trying to. You don't avoid people because you don't care. You retreat because you care deeply. And there's a hidden psychology behind that, one most people completely misunderstand. Let's talk about it. Loneliness and solitude look identical from the outside. A person sitting alone in a room, quiet, unaccompanied. But internally, they are opposites. Loneliness feels like hunger. It's the ache of wanting connection and not having it. It drains you. It whispers that you've been left out or left behind. Solitude feels like exhaling. It's chosen. It restores you. It's not about lacking people. It's about needing space. Our culture confuses visibility with happiness. If you're not constantly social, posting, surrounded by noise, people assume something is missing. So if you enjoy your own company, you might start questioning yourself. Should I be out more? Am I isolating? But being alone without feeling abandoned is not a red flag. It's emotional self-sufficiency. It means your sense of worth doesn't collapse in silence. That's not social failure. That's psychological maturity. And it changes everything. Many people who love being alone aren't antisocial. They're overstimulated. If you're highly sensitive or deeply self-aware, your nervous system processes more tone, more micro-expressions, more emotional undercurrents. Even a simple conversation can feel layered and intense. Social interaction, even when it's positive, requires energy. You're not just talking, you're reading the room. You're adjusting. You're noticing what isn't said. From the outside, leaving early or declining plans looks like avoidance. Underneath, it's regulation. Your system is saying, that's enough input for today. Solitude becomes your reset button. A quiet room. No expectations. No emotional noise to filter. Just space. It's not escape. It's calibration. It's lowering the volume so your thoughts can settle and your body can relax. You don't hate people. You just need silence to breathe again. Some people process emotions by talking them out immediately. Others process by turning inward. If you love being alone, chances are your mind becomes a workshop in solitude. You replay conversations. You analyze reactions. You ask yourself, why did that bother me? Or what was I really feeling there? From the outside, it can look like overthinking, but internally, it's integration. You're not obsessing. You're digesting. There's a difference between suppressing emotion and processing it. Many people stay constantly busy to avoid what they feel. You, on the other hand, sit with it. You untangle it. You make meaning out of it. It's not that you fear connection. You fear unprocessed emotion leaking into connection. Alone time gives you clarity. It turns emotional chaos into something coherent. And when you return to people, you return more grounded, not more distant. There's a common myth that if you need space, you must be avoidant, afraid of intimacy, afraid of closeness. But often the opposite is true. Securely attached people don't cling. They don't need constant reassurance to feel connected. They can love deeply without demanding continuous proximity. Dependency says, stay close or I'll panic. Security says, we're okay, even with space. If you enjoy being alone, it doesn't mean you're rejecting others. It often means you trust your bonds. You don't measure love by how often you're together. You measure it by depth. Your solitude isn't protest behavior. It's self-trust. It's knowing you can exist fully as an individual without losing connection. That's strength, not distance. You can choose closeness without dissolving into it. And that ability to stand alone without fear is a quiet kind of emotional power. There's a reason so many writers, thinkers, and visionaries crave solitude. Depth requires silence. When you're constantly interacting, your attention fragments. You respond instead of reflect. You react instead of integrate. Noise interrupts synthesis. But in solitude, something shifts. The brain's default mode network activates, the system linked to imagination, memory, and self-awareness. Ideas connect. Patterns emerge. Insights form. People who love being alone often don't dislike people. They dislike superficiality. Small talk feels draining, not because humans are exhausting, but because shallow interaction starves a deep mind. You crave conversations that stretch you, and when those aren't available, you turn inward. Alone time becomes fertile ground. You think more clearly, create more honestly, understand yourself more deeply. It's not emptiness, it's incubation. Silence isn't a void for you, it's where your best thoughts are born. If you're socially aware, you're rarely just hanging out, you're scanning, adjusting, softening your tone, making sure everyone feels included, catching tension before it escalates. That invisible effort is emotional labor. From the outside, you seem fine, engaged, present, maybe even calm. But internally, you're filtering constantly, managing impressions, translating feelings. Even positive gatherings can leave you drained. Not because you dislike people, but because your brain never fully switches off. Solitude becomes relief, not from people, but from performance. Not fake performance, just the subtle self-regulation required to exist socially. Alone, you don't have to edit yourself. You don't have to monitor the room. You can drop the mask you didn't even realize you were wearing. And that exhale? That's why you crave being alone after even the best interactions. Quiet people are often misread. If you don't constantly reach out, you're labeled distant. If you don't overshare, you're called cold. If you decline invitations, you must be aloof. But internal warmth doesn't always translate into external noise. You might care deeply, just selectively. You invest intentionally. You prefer quality over frequency, depth over constant contact. Still, being misunderstood can create doubt. Maybe I am too detached. Maybe something's wrong with me. But needing space doesn't mean lacking love. It means your energy operates differently. You recharge alone so you can show up fully when it matters. Selective connection isn't rejection, it's discernment. And there's nothing defective about choosing where your emotional energy goes. In fact, that awareness is a sign you know your limits and respect them. Of course, not all solitude is healthy. There's a difference between restoration and isolation, between recharging and hiding. Sometimes the comfort of being alone can quietly turn into protection from discomfort, avoiding hard conversations, dodging vulnerability, choosing silence not for peace, but for safety. So it's worth asking yourself gently, does my solitude expand me or shrink my world? When I'm alone, do I feel restored or just numb? Healthy solitude makes you more open to connection afterward. Avoidance makes connection feel even harder. The goal isn't to choose between people and peace, it's to have both. Alone time should strengthen your capacity to engage with life, not slowly disconnect you from it. When chosen consciously, solitude becomes preparation for deeper relationships, not escape from them. You are not antisocial. You are not broken. And you are not secretly lonely. You are someone who finds peace in presence, especially your own. In a world that glorifies constant noise, your ability to sit in silence is rare. While others chase distraction, you cultivate inner quiet. That's not weakness, that's strength. Chaos pulls outward, solitude pulls inward, and you've learned how to exist comfortably in that inner space. Loving being alone doesn't mean you have no one. It means you've built a relationship with yourself that feels safe. You don't disappear in silence, you expand in it. So the next time someone mistakes your solitude for sadness, remember this. You are not withdrawing from life. You are returning to yourself. And that, in a hyper-connected world, is a powerful place to stand. And if this video made you feel understood, even a little, let me know in the comments. I read them. If you're someone who values depth over noise, this channel is built for you. So subscribe, not for constant content, but for meaningful conversations. Like this video so it reaches someone who thinks they're too quiet or too distant, when in reality, they're just wired differently. And share it with that one friend who disappears sometimes. Not because they don't care, but because they need space to breathe. I'll see you in the next one.